Imagine for a moment, not the bustling city or the quiet comfort of your home, but a vast, untamed savanna millions of years ago. This is the stage where our fundamental operating system was written, a script deeply ingrained in every cell of our being. Owen Hermstring, in his insightful work, masterfully illuminates this concept, suggesting that despite our conscious minds aspiring to abundance, our bodies often default to a primal, not enough setting. This isn't a flaw, it's a testament to the incredible efficiency of evolution. Our ancestors faced genuine, constant threats of scarcity, unpredictable food sources, harsh climates, and formidable predators. Survival wasn't a given. It was a daily, minute-by-minute negotiation with a world that offered no guarantees. Consider the profound implications of this historical context. Every physiological response, every neural pathway was optimized for survival in an environment defined by lack. Our bodies became expert at conserving energy, storing fat, and hypervigilantly scanning for threats. This ancient blueprint, refined over millennia of feast or famine cycles, is still very much active within us. Even today, when most of us have access to abundant food and relative safety, our internal systems can't easily shed this deeply embedded programming. Hermstring might argue that our modern brains, with their capacity for complex thought and abstract concepts like abundance, are relatively new additions to this ancient physiological framework. The body, on a deeper, more primitive level, is still operating from a script written in an era where starvation was a very real and present danger. This isn't about blaming our ancestors or feeling trapped by our biology. It's about understanding the profound influence of our evolutionary past. When we feel a sudden urge to hoard or experience anxiety about an uncertain future despite having resources, it's often this ancient blueprint kicking in. Our bodies are simply responding to signals they've been trained for eons to interpret as potential scarcity. This can manifest in subtle ways, like feeling compelled to finish every last bite on our plate, even when full, or in more pronounced ways, like chronic stress responses that elevate cortisol levels, signaling to the body that resources are scarce and it needs to prepare for a lean period. It's a constant, subconscious broadcast from within, often whispering, "Be careful, conserve, there might not be enough." Without acknowledging this deep-seated programming, our conscious efforts to embrace abundance can feel like an uphill battle, a mind trying to convince a body that speaks a different, older language. For instance, consider the physiological response to a perceived financial threat. Even if logically we understand that we have savings or a steady income, the body can react as if a famine is imminent. Our heart rate might increase, digestion might slow, and our nervous system might go into a mild state of alert. This isn't our logical mind at work, it's the ancient blueprint, the survival brain, interpreting a modern stressor through the lens of primordial scarcity. Hermstring would likely emphasize that truly shifting towards an abundance mindset requires more than just intellectual understanding. It demands a deeper engagement with and gentle reprogramming of these archaic bodily responses. It means recognizing that the whispers of not enough are often echoes from a distant past, not a reflection of our current reality. Our bodies are incredibly sophisticated chemical factories, constantly producing a complex array of hormones that regulate every aspect of our existence. When it comes to the pervasive feeling of not enough, even when our minds intellectually grasp abundance, these tiny chemical messengers play a starring, often disruptive role. Owen Hermstring, in exploring the body's broadcast of scarcity, keenly points to the interplay of hormones like cortisol and ghrelin, highlighting how they can create a relentless internal echo of deprivation. Imagine your endocrine system as a highly sensitive orchestra. When stress or perceived lack enters the score, certain instruments, our scarcity hormones, begin to play louder, drowning out the harmonious melody of well-being and sufficiency. Let's focus on cortisol, often dubbed the stress hormone. In a truly ancient context, a surge of cortisol was a vital, life-saving mechanism. It flooded the body with energy, sharpened focus, and suppressed non-essential functions, all to prepare us for fight or flight against a genuine threat, like a predator or the sudden disappearance of food. But in our modern world, the triggers for cortisol release have become far more insidious and chronic. Deadlines, financial worries, relationship stress, or even just the incessant ping of notifications can elevate cortisol levels day in and day out. What our bodies don't differentiate is that these are perceived threats, not actual physical danger or starvation. Consequently, sustained high cortisol tells the body that resources are scarce and that it needs to prepare for a lean period. This constant internal alarm system can lead to a host of physiological responses designed for conservation: increased fat storage, particularly around the midsection, a suppression of the immune system, and a general state of vigilance that exhausts us, all driven by the body's conviction that it's living in an environment of scarcity. Then there's ghrelin, often called the hunger hormone. Its primary role is to signal to the brain that it's time to eat. While essential for survival, its behavior can be significantly impacted by chronic stress and sleep deprivation, both hallmarks of a modern scarcity mindset. When we're stressed, ghrelin levels can rise, prompting us to feel hungry even when our caloric needs are met. It's as if the body, perceiving a state of emergency due to stress, preemptively signals for more fuel, fearing that resources might run out. This explains why many people find themselves reaching for comfort food or overeating when stressed, not out of true physiological hunger, but from a hormonal directive rooted in the body's misinterpretation of its current state as one of impending famine. Hermstring would likely emphasize that these hormonal directives often operate beneath the radar of our conscious awareness, making it incredibly challenging to simply think our way out of a scarcity response. The body is receiving clear, undeniable chemical signals that it needs to conserve, gather, and protect, regardless of what our minds might be affirming. Consider how this plays out in daily life. You might logically know you have enough food in the pantry or a stable income in the bank, yet a stressful email can trigger a cortisol spike, which in turn might lead to an irrational urge to buy more groceries than you need, or to compulsively check your bank balance, even though you just did. This isn't a conscious decision. It's the primitive body responding to hormonal cues that are broadcasting scarcity. These hormones create a feedback loop. Chronic stress leads to elevated cortisol and dysregulated ghrelin, which further reinforces the body's perception of scarcity, even when the mind attempts to project abundance. Breaking this cycle requires more than just mental reframing. It demands an understanding of these powerful chemical messengers and strategies to calm their frantic signals, gently persuading the body that it is indeed safe and abundant. In the vast theater of human experience, our bodies are constantly interpreting cues, both internal and external, and reacting accordingly. One of the most powerful and ancient of these reactions is the fight-or-flight response, a brilliant survival mechanism honed over millions of years. However, as Owen Hermstring astutely points out, in our hyper-connected, fast-paced modern world, this crucial response often misfires, triggering the same physiological alarms for an overflowing inbox as it would for a saber-toothed tiger. This misinterpretation creates a profound fallacy where the pervasive stress of contemporary life is processed by the body as a genuine threat of starvation or imminent danger, effectively broadcasting scarcity even when our minds are striving for a sense of peace and plenty. Consider the original purpose of fight or flight: to rapidly mobilize resources for immediate survival. When confronted with a genuine threat, our sympathetic nervous system kicks into high gear. Adrenaline and cortisol surge, directing blood flow to large muscles, increasing heart rate and respiration, and shutting down non-essential functions like digestion and immune response. This entire system is designed for a quick burst of extreme effort, followed by a period of rest and recovery. For our ancestors, this cycle was usually short and acute: a sprint from a predator, a quick battle for resources, then a return to relative calm. The body would then reset, repairing and rebuilding. The fallacy, as Hermstring might describe it, lies in the fact that our modern stressors rarely offer such a clear-cut resolution. We're not running from lions, we're wrestling with deadlines, navigating complex social dynamics, and constantly bombarded by information. These aren't threats that resolve in a few minutes. They are chronic, low-level, or sometimes high-level pressures that persist for hours, days, or even weeks. Our bodies, however, don't distinguish. They interpret the constant mental and emotional stress as a continuous state of emergency. This means the physiological responses designed for acute physical threats remain chronically activated. Digestion remains suppressed, leading to issues like IBS or nutrient malabsorption. Our immune systems are constantly on standby, making us more susceptible to illness. Our sleep cycles are disrupted as the body remains vigilant. In essence, the body is operating under the continuous assumption of scarcity. When resources are genuinely scarce, like in a famine, the body conserves energy, slows metabolism, and prepares for hardship. When we are constantly in a fight-or-flight state due to stress, our body mimics these same scarcity behaviors. It holds onto fat stores, believing it needs reserves for an unpredictable future. It might increase cravings for quick energy sources, sugars, simple carbs, because it perceives a constant need for fuel to escape an unseen threat. This creates a vicious cycle. Stress triggers the scarcity response, which then reinforces the feeling of not enough, making us more susceptible to further stress. Our bodies become perpetually poised for a struggle, even when there's no struggle to be found, effectively whispering to every cell, "Be alert, conserve, resources are limited." Indeed, this perpetual state of alert impacts not just our physical health, but our mental and emotional landscapes as well. It drains our resilience, makes us more irritable, and less able to access the higher cognitive functions associated with creativity, problem-solving, and a sense of abundance. Breaking free from this fight-or-flight fallacy requires conscious intervention, teaching our bodies that the perceived threats are not actual threats to survival, and that it's safe to disengage from emergency mode and return to a state of calm and plenty. Our bodies are far more than just biological machines. They are sophisticated archives, holding not only the blueprint of our species' survival, but also the deeply personal narratives of our individual lives. This includes, as Owen Hermstring implicitly suggests, a memory bank of past scarcity experiences, whether these are direct, lived traumas or even echoes from our ancestral lineage. This often overlooked aspect reveals how unresolved emotional and physical pain can become deeply embedded in our physiology, influencing our present-day relationship with abundance, even when our conscious minds assert that all is well. Imagine the body as a complex system of interconnected pathways, like a vast neural and fascial network. When we experience trauma, be it a sudden, acute event like an accident or a chronic, prolonged period of stress and deprivation, the body doesn't simply forget. Instead, the physiological and emotional responses triggered by that event can become stuck or stored within the tissues, nervous system, and cellular memory. This isn't just a metaphor, it's increasingly understood by fields like somatics and epigenetics. For example, a person who experienced food insecurity as a child, even if they are now financially stable, might still find themselves hoarding food, feeling anxious about grocery trips, or experiencing an irrational fear of running out. Their logical mind knows there's plenty, but their body, remembering the acute stress of hunger, continues to broadcast a message of not enough. This body memory can also manifest in more subtle ways. Chronic tension in the shoulders might be a physical manifestation of carrying heavy burdens, financial or otherwise, from a past period of struggle. A persistent tightness in the jaw could reflect suppressed anger or fear related to past experiences of powerlessness or lack. These are not merely psychological states, they are physiological imprints, active internal broadcasts that tell the body it's still in a state of scarcity or threat. Hermstring's perspective would likely emphasize that these patterns are often subconscious, influencing our behavior and reactions without our explicit awareness. We might find ourselves sabotaging opportunities for financial growth, struggling to receive help, or feeling perpetually behind, not because of current circumstances, but because our body's memory bank is still operating on old, scarcity-driven programming. Furthermore, this concept extends beyond individual lived experience to what's often referred to as intergenerational trauma. Research in epigenetics suggests that the experiences of our ancestors, particularly those related to survival and scarcity, like famine, war, or forced migration, can leave molecular tags on our DNA, influencing how our genes are expressed. This means we might inherit a predisposition towards anxiety, a tendency to hoard, or a general sense of unease around resources, not because of anything we personally experienced, but because our bodies are carrying the echoes of ancestral struggles. This deeply ingrained, often subconscious, fear of not enough can then influence our present-day choices, relationships, and even our capacity to fully embrace and embody abundance. Releasing these stored scarcity patterns requires more than just positive thinking. It often involves somatic practices that help the body process and release trapped emotions and physical tension. Techniques like mindful movement, breathwork, gentle touch, and focused awareness can help to update the body's memory, gently persuading it that the past is over and that the present is safe and abundant. It's about acknowledging the body's wisdom while also helping it to shed outdated survival strategies that no longer serve us. We live in a world saturated with self-help advice, much of which champions the power of positive thinking and affirmations. While the intention behind these practices is undeniably good, Owen Hermstring's deeper exploration of the body's broadcast of scarcity reveals a crucial limitation. Our bodies often speak a different language than our minds. It's not enough to simply tell ourselves we are abundant if our physiology is still operating from a deeply ingrained blueprint of not enough. This topic delves into the vital step of moving beyond mere affirmations to actively reprogram our embodied beliefs, understanding that true shifts require a holistic approach that engages the body as much as the mind. Imagine trying to convince a deeply anxious dog that it's safe by simply repeating "good dog," while your own body language is tense and your breathing is shallow. The dog, much like our own primitive nervous system, would pick up on the non-verbal cues, sensing the underlying incongruence. Similarly, our bodies are constantly processing internal signals, hormonal levels, muscle tension, breathing patterns, and visceral sensations that convey a narrative far more potent than any conscious thought or affirmation. If these bodily signals are screaming danger or scarcity, then affirmations, no matter how heartfelt, can feel like shouting into a hurricane. The body, stuck in its ancient survival mode, simply isn't listening. Hermstring would likely emphasize that sustained change, particularly in shifting from a scarcity paradigm to one of abundance, necessitates a multifaceted approach that gently persuades the body to feel safe and resourced. This moves beyond cognitive reframing to include somatic practices, which are methods that connect the mind and body to promote self-awareness and healing. Techniques such as mindful movement, whether through gentle yoga, qigong, or simply conscious walking, help to release stored tension and trauma that keep the body in a state of alert. By bringing awareness to physical sensations and movement, we can begin to interrupt the old patterns of tension and constriction that signify scarcity, and instead invite a sense of expansion and ease. Breathwork is another powerful tool. Our breathing patterns are intimately linked to our nervous system. Shallow, rapid breathing signals stress and threat, while deep, slow breathing signals safety and relaxation. Conscious breathwork practices can literally recalibrate the nervous system, shifting it from sympathetic fight-or-flight dominance to parasympathetic rest and digest activation. This fundamental shift sends a clear message to the body. You are safe, there is enough. It allows the body to release the grip of chronic tension and open up to receiving. Furthermore, practices like mindful eating are not just about nutrition, they are about retraining our bodies to perceive abundance. Instead of rushing through meals or eating distractedly, mindful eating involves savoring each bite, acknowledging where the food came from, and recognizing the act of nourishment as a fundamental expression of abundance. This helps to counteract the ingrained scarcity response that might prompt us to overeat or hoard food, even when we are physically satiated. It's about establishing a present moment connection with the reality of sufficiency. Ultimately, reprogramming embodied beliefs is about creating new neural pathways and physiological habits that align with abundance. It's a process of consistent, gentle persuasion, teaching the body through repeated experiences of safety, relaxation, and sufficiency that it no longer needs to operate from a place of not enough. This holistic approach acknowledges the body's wisdom and its deep-seated programming, offering a more effective pathway to truly living from a place of abundance rather than merely thinking about it. Having explored the ancient blueprints, hormonal broadcasts, and deep-seated memories that can keep our bodies tethered to a scarcity mindset, we arrive at the ultimate aspiration: to shift from a state of chronic not enough to living in a vibrant, embodied abundance. This isn't merely about having more resources, it's about a profound internal alignment where our physiology, emotions, and thoughts collectively resonate with a feeling of deep security, sufficiency, and overflow. Owen Hermstring's work subtly guides us toward this state, suggesting that true abundance is not just something we achieve outwardly, but something we become inwardly. Imagine your body as an incredibly sophisticated antenna, constantly broadcasting signals into the world and receiving them back. When that antenna is tuned to the frequency of scarcity, fueled by stress hormones, ancient fears, and stored tension, it naturally attracts and perpetuates experiences that reflect that frequency. Embodied abundance, then, is about intentionally retuning this antenna, creating an internal environment where the body itself feels safe, nourished, and free to thrive. It's a symphony where every instrument, our nervous system, our hormonal balance, our cellular memory, plays in harmony with the conscious intention of abundance. Cultivating embodied abundance begins with integrating the insights from the previous topics. It means consistently applying the somatic practices we discussed, like mindful breathing, gentle movement, and conscious eating, not as a quick fix, but as a daily practice of communicating safety and sufficiency to our internal systems. When we breathe deeply and slowly, we tell our nervous system that there is no immediate threat, allowing it to release the grip of fight or flight. When we move our bodies with conscious awareness and gentle care, we unlock stored tension and promote a sense of flow and freedom, replacing the rigidity of scarcity with the fluidity of abundance. And when we truly savor our food, acknowledging its nourishment, we rewire our relationship with resources from one of hurried consumption to one of grateful reception. Beyond these foundational practices, embodied abundance involves nurturing a deep sense of gratitude, not just as a fleeting thought, but as a physiological state. When we genuinely feel gratitude, our bodies release feel-good hormones like oxytocin and dopamine, counteracting the stress response and signaling a state of well-being and satisfaction. This isn't about ignoring challenges, but about intentionally focusing on what is present and plentiful, thereby reinforcing the body's perception of sufficiency. Daily rituals, no matter how small, that foster this sense of gratitude, perhaps a moment of appreciation before a meal or a quiet reflection on blessings at the start or end of the day, can gradually retrain the body's baseline state. Ultimately, living in embodied abundance is about creating a consistent internal narrative of "I am enough, I have enough, and there is more than enough." It's a profound act of self-trust, where we consciously choose to release the archaic grip of scarcity and allow our bodies to become powerful conduits for receiving and experiencing the richness of life. It's recognizing that the external world often mirrors our internal state, and by shifting our embodied frequency, we open ourselves up to a life that truly reflects the abundance our minds already yearn for. It's the seamless integration of mind and body, working in unison to manifest a life of true flourishing. This concludes our exploration of Owen Hermstring's insightful perspective on how our bodies broadcast scarcity and how we can cultivate embodied abundance. Does this final topic resonate as a compelling and satisfying conclusion to the series, ready to transform your relationship with abundance from the inside out? If these insights into your body's hidden signals resonated with you, imagine the power of truly aligning your mind and body for prosperity. Don't let your ancient blueprint hold you back. Subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into embodying abundance, practical tools, and inspiring conversations that will help you rewrite your scarcity story into a symphony of fulfillment. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode, and join our growing community committed to living a life of true abundance.